What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. And today, we're talking Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Guys, let's do a spoiler-free review. Let's do this little recap I got here. Let me go to my trusty IMDb and let's read this synopsis and we'll tell the people what we thought in spoiler-free fashion. Okay, here we go. A street kid trying to survive in a technology and body modification obsessed society of the future, having everything to lose, he chooses to stay alive by becoming an edge runner, a mercenary outlaw, also known as a cyberpunk. That is the synopsis. What do you guys think? Spoiler free.
So I had no idea. I mean, I have Cyberpunk the game. I played it a handful of times. I wasn't a fan of the game, and originally we weren't going to do. It was going to be a cruise show, and then Rich suggested doing this, and when I put it on, I'm like, "Damn it, an anime!" And then I got through the first two episodes, and I started to dig it. It was a good suggestion, Rich. I started to dig it.
Jack?
Yeah, I enjoyed the content. There are a handful of things that, story-wise, I think I maybe wish had turned out a little differently, but it's a good watch. It's a good watch.
I'm gonna save you for last, Rich. For me, I was in the first episode. In the second episode, the middle is where I started just losing it. I have a hard, and it's not because it's bad. I just have a hard time when they do a lot of exposition in anime and it's just talking about what's happening instead of like seeing it. But then around episode 8 and on, like my investment just shot through the roof. I was like really into these characters and really into how it wrapped up. So I dug it, man. And actually, it made me want to buy the game. It made me want to like play more of this world. So I felt it. Rich, how rich is it? In a spoiler-free fashion. This is anime, man. How rich is it?
We're not going to do that, but the episode, I love the show. I love the Studio Trigger. If people are not familiar with them, they do phenomenal work. The story was what I would expect it to be. They kind of went the same route with the story as they did with the game. To a degree. Actually, not even to a degree. That's pretty much what they did. Underdogs type story, making their way up from the bottom type of thing. And yeah, I enjoyed it. That's all I can say. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
We just said we enjoyed it, like unanimously.
Yeah, really.
Like,
I don't know if I trust it. Okay.
So let's get into it, man. Deep dive. So we jump into like David, right? David, we're following this teenager.
David Martinez, right?
David
Martinez.
Who the world is of the game, but Rich, some of these characters are in the game, not the main ones, but some are in the game, right? That we're gonna meet. Or none of them in the game.
No, I don't think any of them are in the game.
Like,
no, there was
Adam Smasher.
Adam Smasher's in the game. Yes.
Okay,
he's in the game.
So
and we're in Japan.
I don't think so, because some of the stuff said like Santo Domingo. It's not like it was like,
yeah, I believe it's
the signs are in Spanish.
Some form of America.
So basically, we're in this future reality where people make modifications to their bodies. The same way we update our phones and tech, they update their bodies if they can afford to do so and if their body can handle the upgrades. We meet David, who is going to this really great school, and we pretty much figure out that his mother is struggling and doing everything she can to keep him in school. He's getting into fights and stuff. And he also can't afford to keep up with his physical updates to keep up with the other kids. So I thought that was dope, man. I love that we like jump straight into character. Rich, in the game, is it as character focused like this? Story-wise, story-driven wise? Because we're really with David in the beginning.
Yeah, because you're playing a character, so the character is, you're playing through the game as that character, doing pretty much the same thing.
Do they have the backstory and all that stuff like
yeah.
in this anime?
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought that was dope. I love the stakes of it. I love that he can't keep up. Like just being human, you can't keep up in this society.
Yeah, but then there's the what I liked was the consequences to um, upping your modifications. Also,
Right.
though, like you
What they call
can't.
it?
Mhm.
Cyberpsychosis.
Yeah,
Yeah, too much chrome.
yeah. Um, so they're driving. Pretty much there's a gang war on the streets that causes them to get into a car accident. His mother dies, and I guess I don't know where he finds. He's at home or something, but he sees that his mother has like forgot what it's called, that thing, a spine, pretty
The
much.
doctor gives it to him
Yeah, the
because they're
no sex
taken
spray.
to a the
Huh?
Sandy.
Yeah, because his mom was selling these stuff like on some black market tip. That's how she was getting him through school. And he winds up saying, I'm going to put this in me. And he does so. And it like gives him freaking super speed.
Yeah, so you're jumping a little bit. So after the car wreck, they're taken to the hospital that they can afford to go to because they don't have
Right.
any
Well,
kind of like
first you see like
status.
the huge what's it called, the disparity between the haves and the have-nots. So
Yes.
his mother is lying on the ground after the car wreck, and
Right.
you see the
Yeah.
trauma team come, and they I guess they scan and realize, oh shoot, these guys are poor, they don't have the coverage, and they just leave them.
Yeah, and what's so
Yeah.
crazy is how quickly they get like the response time for everyone who has that kind of coverage all throughout the series. The response time is like moments, and then they get there, realize she's actually not covered under them, and they bounce. And so yes, the haves and have nots, great. And so because the mom is taken to this other place, this kind of like boneyard vet looking doctor in the middle of some back alley gives her kid the belongings that were on her, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where he gets this Sandevistan is
Yeah.
what it's called.
Yeah. He gets, and what was also interesting, his mother's a healthcare worker, right?
Yeah, she's a
So
nurse.
it's like she doesn't have coverage for healthcare while she's a nurse. Her job is to help people.
Gosh,
Which
what does
is,
that remind you of?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's fiction. I can't believe it. The fiction's too fiction. So pretty much he gets this thing, he puts it inside of him, he gets it operated on, and it looks excruciating to be modified, man. It's not like you're black out, you go numb. He's in pain. And it gives him like heightened senses. Well, not super speed. What else does he have? Super speed. He has it's just speed?
I think it was just
Strength?
speed. Yeah,
But
Okay.
it was just speed.
it affects his whole body.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. His whole nervous system has speed. Like he can see. It's not just he can move fast.
Yeah.
And he has this thing, and then he winds up beating up the bullies at school pretty easily. And that was a dope moment. I love those moments in all like movies and cartoons where the Karate Kid like learns martial arts. He can take down his bullies. Gets kicked out of school for that, and then he's on a train. This is where the plot kind of like we step on the gas a bit here. He's on a train. And there's this woman there that's stealing chips. Like people can make phone calls in their head. They she's stealing their data pretty much. And she tries to steal his, right? And he stops her and then she sees what he can do. And then she winds up
She realizes that what the kid has is the Sandevistan that her leader was
Maine.
supposed to have, Maine. So it's like how she wants to know how you got that thing, which leads down the rabbit hole of she's buying time for Maine and the rest of the team to show up at her place. So she's keeping the kid occupied long enough for him to be held accountable for having
And-
this object.
But he
And then
really thought they had a thing going on. He really thought like we're gonna be a team, and
Of course, but they did.
you know.
But they
And
did.
they
That's
did.
that's what's nice about it. The lie was actually real, right?
Right. And then
Mhm.
the mom was actually selling. Maine knew about the mother because the mother was
because
actually
that
selling-
was for her, yeah,
that was
yeah.
she was
So
selling
then
to that crew.
that's a gap in the team's expectations because they think they're coming to rain down fury and thunder on this kid who's got his Sandy, and come to find out that this kid is actually the child of the woman who they knew that sold them the black market items. So they have a soft heart moment where they're like, we
Yeah.
don't really want to beat this kid up now.
And this is the part. This is the part of the series that made me love it. The
It's the
relationship
part that
part,
worked so well. Yes.
the depth part of it, and you can tell like when Maine's like, "That was your mom." They have that moment. He's like, what does he say? "I'm sorry, kid," or tough. That's tough. He says something, and
Yeah,
you
just
know he means
acknowledges
it.
the pain.
Yeah. And before all this, the world is crazy. So like you can help me with this. In the beginning, we see like you can you can go into someone else's mind and replay their death or their greatest moments. What was
Well,
that?
kinda. So that
No.
you're a little off topic subject, but there's a guy who's able to extract, yes, the memories in order to make that like a virtual experience that you can buy or play.
Right.
Just like
So
the girl has that VR chip that she plugs into, and she can go to the moon to experience that on a visceral level.
yeah. So it's important to know that because the first experience we have with David is almost like foreshadowing what happens to him later. Because he
Right.
goes into that dude who pretty much has
Those
the abilities he
Sandex.
will have. And he
Yeah.
experiences the death that will be sort of his fate. Spoiler alert. We're in spoiler territory. So yeah, so he runs with this crew and he wants to prove himself, man. And then Maine is like, yo, the only way you prove yourself is to do work. Get busy and do work. And the kid becomes annoyingly wanting to do work, but he's growing. He's growing on the team. The squad is dope. And this is where it kind of loses me, man. Like the missions and the plots and the this and the organizations, that's where I kind of like it just kind of like
It
turns
gets a
into
little
a
confusing.
malaise
Yeah.
for me.
The thing that's interesting about it is the culture and the lifestyle, and Maine pushes it too on the kid. He's like, you need to, if you're gonna be competitive, you got to upgrade. If you're gonna be in this world, you have to chrome up. But everyone knows that people who get too much chrome eventually lose their freaking mind.
Well,
Right.
It's
that's
not
what
a question of if, it's just a
happened.
question of when.
And with what he has, they said you're not supposed to use this more than 3 times a day.
He's like, I jumped 8
Right.
times, something like that. I used
Yeah.
it.
But that's also makes him like this outlier. This kind, he's special. He at one point he does it like 10 times in one day, and he doesn't completely lose his mind. He also didn't know to have the freaking amino blockers, which kind of like the medication you need when you upgrade. The dude didn't even give it to him. So already David is proving like there's something different about this kid, which is very interesting.
Right, which
Um,
at the end of the day, I mean, jumping way ahead, big spoiler, doesn't really turn
And
out to be true.
in fact, the big bad calls him out and was like, you think just because you're scrappy that makes you special?
Right.
well, but I don't think anybody could have handled that tech. He handled
But
that
but
tech and
he
kept
wasn't
his marbles.
but he wasn't handling his own tech. Because before he super techs up by the end of it, big spoiler, he continues just to chrome up. And
Right.
eventually he starts losing his own psychoses, just like Maine, just like the guy who had the Sandevistan in the beginning, just like everyone else who gets too much chrome. So David's actually not any specialer than anyone
I
else.
disagree. I think anybody who would have applied what he had at the end would have lost that. They wouldn't have been able to go to
I'm
that
talking
fight and
about
save the
before
girl.
he got there. Before he got there,
I
we
think
already saw
anybody
Lucy.
else would have lost it way sooner than he did by
Yeah.
that
That's
point.
that's
The doctor even stated that. He was like, you used it how many times? You haven't been using the amino blockers or anything like that? Like, I'm surprised you're even still sane.
yes, okay, yeah, absolutely.
He has a high tolerance for
But he's
chrome.
not so special that what do they call it? Cyber sick or
Cyber
Cyber
Cyberpsychosis.
cyber psychosis. So he is experiencing cyber psychosis before he ever gets to the what do they call it? The skeleton, the ghost skeleton, the
Yeah. But I think anybody
cyber
else in this
skeleton.
world would have already died years before
Yes,
But
because
but
he has a tolerance to it that nobody
so,
he's
else
got
has.
a tolerance, but he's not like Neo. He's not
yeah.
the
So
No,
what I
but
think
that's why he's special.
he-
He has a tolerance. He's just not.
so I think they built him up through this story as almost like a Neo type character where
right.
he's so special. Then at the end you realize he was just a little bit above average, but he wasn't this
Well, it's like Lawrence said, he's got a high tolerance, but he's
Right.
not the one.
right. But
He's not
they
gonna
almost built him up like he was the one in these early episodes. And you kind of have these high expectations, which is kind of actually pretty smart of the writers.
I like that.
Yeah, it took you down a road that you didn't expect it to go. You expected the typical showdown. I'm jumping ahead, but it's kind of
Yeah.
Just jumping ahead.
yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Lars.
Well, no, because like it gets into like Akira territory for me, where it's like absolute power. The story turned into absolute power destroys you. You become a monster. You become something that you can't control. You almost become grotesque.
Right.
And when I saw him, the way he was retrofitted to that thing, like he cut off his genitalia to
He just,
to chrome up,
he's just a torso. He's just a torso and a head at the end.
which is like, wow, what you're
That's
willing to
interesting.
do.
But Akira isn't our protagonist. That's why Akira works. I mean, Akira, the villain of the Akira story isn't the protagonist we're following. Where in this case, David is the protagonist.
But
And
and
so
we're
when
seeing he's the protagonist like Pinocchio in a way. Like we're seeing our protagonist be warned episode after episode. Slow down. Don't do this. You're out of control. And he ignores it at every turn. So it turns into this cautionary kind of tale.
Yeah.
Right? Right? I mean, at the end, he's like, I'm here and I had to be here. I'm like, you didn't. You didn't have to go this route at all.
You know what I don't understand is that he dumped all his he's at the end he does everything for Lucy, right? So Lucy's kind of jerked him a little bit in the beginning, and then she like in like the middle episode she lets on like she's like I don't want you to be an edge runner because you're just gonna end up in death and I don't want you to die.
After Maine died, yeah.
Right. So then she's like he has no value for himself because it's just him. He lost his mother, but he puts all his value into Lucy and just does everything for Lucy. But I just don't understand why he had just totally given up on who he is and what he can do. I felt like he almost gave up, and that was it. That's the kind of part that's for me. That part kind of like
I know. I saw the opposite. I saw that
I saw the opposite too
he
because
kept upgrading himself.
he kept upgrading. After Maine's death, there's the biggest time jump in the series. So spoiler alert, Maine dies. Everybody dies. Almost nobody
dies.
sees the series, right? Everybody's this is like the Game of Thrones of cyberanime. And so like everyone's getting killed. But after Maine dies, we have the largest time jump. And we pick David and Lucy back up. And when we see David this time, he's not Maine, but he's taken over that role. And the way he's drawn, he's jacked up, he's been modded out, he's got extra chrome in him, and he's definitely turning into the alpha male of the team.
Mm-hmm.
The leader. He's the leader.
He's the leader of the pack. Yeah, absolutely. But that was also where the series started taking an odd turn for me because obviously Lucy likes David, and obviously David likes Lucy. And what we see Lucy do after Maine's death is she pulls away from the team because she's going out secretly to protect David's the knowledge that David might be special. You know, the one as far as Chrome enhancements are involved. So that's her reality. Her reality is she loves David so much, she's going out to safeguard him. And David wants nothing but to see Lucy get what she wants, which is to go to the moon.
the moon, yeah.
So there's an odd disconnect that everything they're doing is actually pulling them further away from what they actually want, which is just to support the other person. You know what I mean?
It's kind of poetic though, in some weird and you
It's like
see
old
there,
Shakespearean.
and when they're at home, and it's interesting. They draw them naked. Right? They're naked. They're supposed to be as comfortable and as open and transparent with each other as possible, but it just feels like there's a massive wall between them whenever they're home in the most vulnerable spot. Like there is a strong disconnect there. And I kind of enjoy it. And I kind of started thinking like, David, what do you want? Like you're hacking away at your body for mods to become the guy you saw pretty much die of cyber psychosis. Like Ming lost his mind and was in a position where he had to like, have a shootout with was it cops? It was cops, right? Like the SWAT or whatever.
It was like a special unit to take out cyber psychos.
Mech tech or something like
And
that.
before that, Maine has been so brilliant and wise to never be in that position in the first place, and he starts losing it. So we're watching David like literally
Go down.
Is it arrogance? He thinks, well, I can handle it, right? It has to be.
Or he might just not care. I have this feeling like he doesn't care whether he lives or dies.
No, he really keeps echoing how special he is. that's the thing of the whole series is he's led to believe that he's special,
Right.
but he's not. He is, but he's not that
That
special.
special, yeah.
He's not so
Yeah.
special that he's impervious to it.
And I feel like he's in denial because I think a part of him knows it. A part of him knows like this can't go on. Like my body is fighting this. I'm not well.
Well, he's definitely in denial. I mean, we literally see his eyes doing this crazy jump
The
thing that
thing.
The thing that happens when they go in psychosis.
exactly. So we know he's aware of it, but we also saw Maine do the same thing. Everyone who starts to go crazy denies that that's the reality until it's too late.
That first dude that we saw that like shot their crew straight up in their head.
No, the guy that had the hands, Plios,
Yeah.
whatever his name.
Yeah, he got the hand. Can we talk about the violence of this thing though? This thing is I love violence. I like it when because man, like when a bullet hits a head, it has to matter. Don't make your violence so super sweet. Like, no, it is gross. And there are teeth flying everywhere when someone
It
shoots
works
a
for
gun.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dig it. Is it like that in the game, Rich? Is it as like in your face with like heads exploding and stuff like that?
No, I mean heads explode, but it's not really in your face. It's not. I don't think it's graphic. I haven't seen teeth flying everywhere, but yeah, you can blow heads off and take off limbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you can blow heads off.
But this was like you saw the
Oh
brain.
man, yeah, and he was
Around
standing
their
there when
head.
they blew the guy's head up. He was just standing there when you see the bottom of his jaw. And he's like, everything is just there, blood,
Insane.
gut, junk.
Insane. So yeah, so pretty much I mean we're skipping over a lot, but for me the heartbeat of this thing, and you guys can jump in if you disagree, the heartbeat is the relationships. And there's a lot of stuff in the middle, a lot of we gotta do this, we gotta do that. But that almost for me became did you guys stick with all that? It just became a wash for me. All the missions and the stuff they had to do.
Yeah, it was kind of like a long, really long montage, right? Just kind of like build up to the point where he kind of like build to the point to the end, right? So where he finally hits the big bad, and it's not the ending you expect. But yeah, you know what? Too because of the not only gratuitous violence, but some of the
Wait,
gratuitous
hold on.
nudity.
How did you not expect that ending though?
I don't
You
know,
thought he
man.
was gonna walk away?
Yeah,
I thought no. I thought that I knew it was gonna be a suicide mission, but I thought he was gonna take that guy Adam down with him. So I thought he was gonna have like a self destruct or have something where they were both gonna go down together.
This-
I
all
didn't
right. So
expect
the
him to
thing
straight up
is,
lose and be done.
this was a prequel, so that's probably the thing. So Adam Smasher was not going to die. He had to live on to be in Cyberpunk 2077. So that's the thing.
I didn't pick it up as a
And
pre.
I like that Adam Smash. Like you see it in montages all the time. You don't learn karate in a montage and take down the guy that's been a master for 30 years. You just
Right.
don't. So like for me, David won by lasting long enough to get Lucy out. He won. Mission accomplished. But there's no way he was taking him. This is not the 80s, Chris.
Nah,
Yeah.
You don't
because
get to have a montage and beat Apollo Creed. It don't work that way, Chris.
Except for
all of what Adam Smasher had, or all of what David had on him, well, at least the main the first mod that he did, that was originally based off of Adam Smasher. So he's been rocking with that for quite some time. And then also the very end, the cyber skeleton, that was also supposed to be for Adam Smasher. So you're rocking with you're trying to fight a dude that's been modded for however long. He's beyond like he can't get into cyber psychosis for forever for his
I'm about to ask
modifications.
you that.
Yeah.
Do they explain in the game why he's
so he is
the
special.
special one? Why is he immune to it?
Because he's just so modded out. It's just pretty much like we don't get too much into him. I mean, they do, but not really. They don't explain like his full body, but he is like when you see him in the game, he's pretty much like he is in the show. Like he's a full on just robot, maybe a fleshy head.
So there's no humanity. There's like barely any human.
His brain might be intact somehow, some way, but yeah, he's pretty much full robot at that point, just creating havoc.
Well, David says that too. He says, is there even any human left in your robot body?"
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? Like I was really shocked when Smasher shot David, Because I was like, I guess I didn't expect there to be still flesh and bone or a gut or a liver where he got shot.
Mm.
Because I would have thought like you would have got rid of all that if you had to, right?
Yeah, what it was, because the exterior is like is a hardened skin, so that's why it kind of has like the lines through it and everything like that. But I think for the
Mm-hmm.
most part they still have their organs or whatever.
Whereas Adam Smasher doesn't have anything.
Yeah, he's all
It's just
artificial.
head.
Like where do you?
And even some of the stuff, some of the like, because you saw that he replaced his lungs with sniper parts.
Yeah, he did that in the early. Yeah, when he was running
Yeah.
with Lucy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that you pretty much keep the mold. I mean, you could change out your heart and things like that, but I think the main thing that you have to keep is your brain. Like the brain, you cannot change that out.
But you probably can mod it. You can
You
mod
probably
it.
mod it, but
But the brain is the thing where the cyberpsychosis
right,
takes
that's the
hold
one
too.
thing that
You
you
got too
can't
much
really
chrome, you
change.
lose yourself. Which is
Right.
why Adam Smasher actually is special, because he still got his brain
Right.
and he doesn't have the psychosis. So there is something special about Adam,
Yeah.
but David is not special on that level.
He's
Because if he were
just
special on that level, he wouldn't be having the psychoses.
He's a very strong tolerance. And
Yeah, which is
perhaps David, because Adam Smasher also appears to me to be like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich.
government.
Yeah, like David modded and did his thing kind of black market. You're not taking the right meds like you're supposed to. Like
Yeah.
if David did it the right way from jump with the right resources, he might be something that could have beat Adam Smasher in the
If he
end.
would have went back to school and Arasaka, I believe, if he would have went and took up the Arasaka execs, the father's bully,
Mm-hmm.
the bully's father, if he would have took up his deal and went back to school and they would have taken him under their wing, he probably would have ended up like Adam Smasher.
Yeah.
They they got the finances, they got the money, they would have gave him the best care, the best medicine, the best mods, and he probably would have ended up like Adam Smasher.
Wow.
So the moral of the story.
Find
Give it to
find
big
a
business.
find a sugar daddy. Oh, what
You
did you say? What is did I miss the whole moral?
Yeah, staying in school is the
Sorry.
moral of the
Oh,
story.
right, Jack. You're right.
No
You're right.
keep.
You're right. Sorry about that. Let me ask you guys a question, man. If you were in this world, how far would you go?
Oh, what?
And it's really to you, Rich.
Oh,
Because
yes.
you have a dream of modifying
Listen,
and
man.
adding. How far
This
would you
hand
go?
right here will be gone. My legs will be gone. What are we talking about? Like,
What are we talking about?
listen.
Because I was watching it like, and you were playing, and okay. For those watching us right now, Rich, go look at our lives. Rich has been playing Cyberpunk 2077. He's been streaming it, and you bumped into someone yesterday while you were playing who modified their eyes, and you were like, "Why would you do that to your face?" Remember that the girl?
She had
So
like kind of like bug eyes.
you have limit. You have limits to your
I do
modification.
have limits. Yes, I do have
So-
limits. I'm not going to go too crazy with it where it's going to really mess. Man, look at my face. You see me? I'm beautiful.
I don't want you to mess up that face.
Why would I mess up my face right here?
I have a question for you though. In the game, are there repercussions for being too modded out?
Nah, there's no limits in the game. But you're in the game. You're also dealing with your own separate problems because you have Johnny Silverhand, which is the Keanu Reeves character. You have him in your head, so you kind of have his consciousness fighting with your consciousness, and he's trying to take over. Or like, even if he's not truly trying to take over, but it's the fact that there are two kind of souls in the body, and one has to be there. So it's like whether they're trying to do it on purpose or not, there's constantly errors happening within your body. So like sporadically throughout the game, like you'll get it'll say like system error. I forgot the exact term, but you'll see system error pop up on your screen or whatever. You kind of like start staggering, and the screen starts messing up. But yeah, you'll get that throughout the game. That's after you hit a certain point and you put Johnny Silverhand within your head. You shard up.
I'm gonna go back and play the game now.
I want to play the game, but so you would modify your arms and your legs.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's about it. I mean, man. Listen, maybe get
Would you do that skin thing?
I'll probably do the skin thing if I'm out here in this world where got to dodge bullets and whatnot. Yeah, I'll probably get the dermal implants. Maybe a second heart.
Second heart.
Replace the first heart too. Yeah, 2 hearts. Why not?
You get 2 hearts. You just take out the 1 heart and put in a new heart.
Put it up. Take it and add another heart just in case that heart fails. I got another one. Backup heart.
Boom.
Maybe do my lungs. Yeah, bro. I'll do a lot.
But not the
You'd be walking
face.
around saying that Rich got a lot of heart.
That girl, she took out her freaking jaw.
She had no jaw. Kiwi, she had no jaw. She
What's that about?
That was wild. I don't know.
Maybe she didn't plan for that. Maybe she had no choice. It was a life-saving thing. Yeah, let's talk about their powers real quick. And I want to know what you guys would modify. Like Kiwi, yeah, she had no face, but she was able to. She winds up double crossing the whole freaking team. I'm not sure why. Why did she double cross the team?
Her downfall was after Maine went. The whole series took a turn after Maine went.
But why did she? What did she get in return? What was she getting in return?
Money. She was getting
money.
The double cross. Well, she said she taught Lucy never trust anyone.
She was getting them eddies.
And Lucy can freaking go into anything. She can hack anything with her mind, pretty much. That's her gift, right?
Yeah, I mean, not her gift. I mean, no, it was
because not everybody was
able
to do it like that, right?
But that was the route that she went with her modifications. Or actually, I should say that was the route that was chosen for her for her modifications.
She had a natural instinct toward
that. Yeah.
So far.
Mm-hmm. Maine was a brute. He had just brute strength, brute force, and David kind of takes after that with heightened speed. And
Kimberly was the assassin, right?
But what? The girl,
the little girl that with the eyes that would shoot.
Oh, Becca.
I'm sorry, Kimberly. Becca.
It's like Becky.
And then she got them giant what she got like Hellboy hands at the end of it.
Yeah. Becca was my favorite.
What's his name? Plios, whatever his name is.
Piler.
Yeah, that was her brother.
Something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
He got Edward Scissorhands.
Got murked. Yeah. I don't know if I would remove my junk because David got rid of all of it.
Listen. In this day and age, you can replace your junk with a better junk. All right.
My junk is pretty good.
This is the age. I mean,
Rich, what are you? Are you done telling us about your modifications?
I ain't got to worry about my modifications right now. I told you what I wanted to tell you.
Did you see that Batman toy where his pants go down? He's got a rocket.
That's the Punisher, sir. And put some.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That's
a real thing. It's a bootleg Punisher toy, and it's a real thing. Chris, what would you modify?
I'd probably go with Rich's stuff. I'd do internal stuff, lungs, heart, muscles, ligaments, and stuff like that. I want to look stock on the outside and just be mad, fast, and strong and resilient to everything on the inside.
So you're not cutting anything off and replacing.
Nah, I keep my arms, keep my skin, keep my junk, keep everything.
Keep your junk. I like you have to let us know you're keeping your junk.
No, I'm keeping my junk.
And Jack, what about you? What are you modifying?
Well, I guess if we're modifying, I would do things that upped my stamina and athleticism. As a white man, being more athletic is a dream.
Jack, shut up. Jack, actually, you're quite athletic. So you would get a new lung, add a lung, and
I'd have to get the IKEA book of mods to really just kind of sit with it and think about it.
I would modify. I want that spine thing. Kind of that's all I would need. I don't know why you need. Why? Just give me that. And you know what, Rich? I'll take an extra heart. I don't plan on getting into random gunfire.
Do you see what you just did? The thing about the mod is I just get the spine thing. And you know what? Throw in an extra heart. And while I'm at it, I might as well get my knees. It's a gateway.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick, and then we'll end this. What was dope about Cyberpunk? It was an allegory for plastic surgery, drug use. When is enough enough? When do you finally tap out and say, I'm where I need to be? And it felt for most of them, never.
Even when you know what the end result is going to be.
Right.
That was the thing that was crazy for me, is everyone knew what was going to happen. It wasn't a question of if.
Lucy was the only one that saw what happened to Maine and go, this needs to stop. I'm done.
But she didn't stop the person she loved. She was still enabling it.
Mm. It's life, man.
I say modifying is like modifying it in this world is like modifying your car. You can't just throw a turbo on a car without reinforcing it with like a clutch, maybe some
Check this.
internals,
Yep.
drivetrain, modifications and whatnot. You just can't. So you put the spine on, you realize, oh wait a second, like you saw when David, his hand, when he was fighting whatever, his hands, he needed to
Yeah.
replace his hands because they
Yeah.
were all bloodied, right? Or he was shaking all the time when he had to shoot. So he had to replace his arms. He had to replace his hands. If you're running around a lot, you probably going to have to replace your knees soon enough.
Why'd he remove his junk?
I don't know. They didn't say why. He probably had to.
When he was modified to that machine, I'm like, there's nothing below the belly button. You got rid of.
You talk about
all-
the end. The end.
Oh, the
But
end.
I felt like they didn't cut him up some more. I felt like, they just took off parts and put him in this thing. They didn't. I felt like he got rid of that thing.
I mean, he probably got the modifications, but they just didn't show it on screen. They probably at some point did it.
Because I guess when they're like,
Well, there was a shot when he was on the other guy's table and he was kind of splayed out.
Yeah,
And
but
you
he had
saw
it.
how much of him was actually just robotic at that point was tremendous.
Yeah, he still had his junk though because he had a little speedo joint.
Yeah, but that was it. Oh, another kind of android character who runs around in just a speedo is what's his name? Johnny? Frankie. Sorry, Frankie from One Piece. He's basically an android person with giant robot hands, and he wears a speedo.
Oh yeah.
Frankie Robot. Yo, I can't wait for this One Piece series to come out.
We're at the end of this thing. David fights Adam Smasher, tries to save Lucy. Adam Smasher pretty much, he winds up saving Lucy, and that fight was dope. I mean, but the chase and they flying through the building, and Adam Smasher's hunting David while he has Lucy in his arms, and David's waxing poetic to Lucy, and she's talking to him about like the future, the life they can't have, and he's like, "Listen, I'm here for this moment. I'm here for you. I'm going to save you." And Lucy, he saves her, and then David's at the end, and the party in the back of your head is like, he's not just going to get shot in the face. No way he's not just going to get shot in the face. And you know what happens?
He gets shot in the face.
Takes the face. Yo, and it was, I sat there going, I might have been on my phone for a second. And when that happened, I was like, whoa, I didn't expect to feel this way. Like it hit me hard. And then when she, at the end, kind of winds up going to the moon, because that was the thing. She took him to the moon virtually, and David was always like, "We're gonna go to the moon someday." And she goes to the moon, and she sees flashbacks. She sees David, and even though it's only been like 10 episodes, seeing him from episode 1 felt like I forgot about this guy. I forgot about this version of him.
Yeah.
It was so sweet and sad. I did not expect this series to take me there.
It's not a happy ending. It's a bitter ending. And any series you're watching where by the end of it, the protagonist, and that's what's funny about this one, it's the protagonist is completely unrecognizable by the end of it, and then they kill him. They kill him.
He's not unrecognizable, because even when he started
emotionally,
running with
he's not.
Oh, physically, you mean? Yeah. Well, but that's what he wanted. He wanted to continue to.
Well, he had in order to utilize Maine's arms, he had to get bigger. Those were big arms.
Yeah. And you saw when Maine was like, "You want to take these hands?" And he was like, "Nah, I don't want those. I want something a little more." He's looking at Maine's arm.
Yeah. He was offering the
brother's hands.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nah." And Maine's like, "Well, I'll tell you what, kid.
When I zero out,
you can have these." And he's like, "Deal." And from the beginning, David always wanted to be better. He wanted to be more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I felt like there's only one way that tale can go. And I knew I was prepared for it when he killed his first thug and didn't like even blink an eye. Like he shot some dude in the head and was like, It's a Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, something's wrong. This kid is different.
Yeah.
He didn't have a conscience. He was all right with killing people. And I'm like, I don't know about this guy. So yeah, I guess that's Cyberpunk Edgerunners, man. If we have to rate this thing, which we will do, what rating are you guys giving it?
I'll give it a 7. I liked it.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Ooh, Rich, you don't
Nice,
hand
Rich.
out 8s.
Where you at, Lawrence? I see Jackie scratching, thinking.
I want to ask Rich a question because
Mhm.
oftentimes when you play, you watch something that's based off a game or a prequel to the game, and you've played the game. Either it doesn't live up to expectations, and this did a really good job. Did you feel like it was part of the same world? Did you feel like it was game adjacent?
Yeah. I mean, you walk through the game and you don't see much of the. I don't know if you noticed the guys having cyber sex,
Which is why I wouldn't cut off my junk because like they make those. Like, why would you get rid of it?
But you don't see much of that. But there is like a red light district that you can go through, which is wild. When the first time I walked through it, but for the most part, yeah, it was all the same. It had the same feel as the game.
For that, I have to give it a 7.5.
So
I
7.5.
enjoyed it, but the fact that it couldn't deviate from its own source material. And here's a guy who's been playing the game telling me that it not only deviated it, like it stood on its own as a great experience adjacent to it. It did its job. And it made me feel something at the end. And anime always has a bunch of exposition anyway. Like you can't fault anime for them explaining the plot to you. 7.5.
Yeah.
7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I really enjoyed it. I thought the way the lines were drawn, the visual of the story was great. The relationship dynamics were really compelling. I like that. I struggle with identifying with the characters near the end of it, and where it went ultimately. And I felt a little oddly betrayed because I wasn't envisioning a self-contained thing by the end of it where they're going to kill my protagonist. And I'd have a problem if there was a second season and they bring David back. Now they're doing the Jon Snow thing, spoiler, and that would be frustrating for me. I hate it when they do that. If you make a bold choice like that,
Live with
you
it.
agree with it or not, you got to live with it.
Well, they will because the world's so big. We can have a second season and it not feature these people at all.
Yeah,
Of course,
a lot
which
of
is also
people in
kind of
that
a
city.
shame. You spend a lot of time. With a character. You know, I spend a lot of time with a character. I want to spend time with that character, and I like these characters and the dynamic. And it's definitely this thing is resolved by the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, David's dead. They blow his brains out. So that's kind of like I don't know.
But it made you feel the way they wanted you to feel.
It made you feel.
I don't know if it made me like. I wasn't like, oh man. I was like, okay, all right. But I enjoy the content. So, but I give it a 6.5. It's definitely better than like Pacific
Spriggan.
Rim. It's better than Spriggan, 100%. Yeah, it's better than those.
Not Arcane though.
It's not better than Arcane. No, right, exactly. So I think a 6.5
Arcane
is
is
kind of
like
where
9, man. Yeah, yeah. So Chris, have you been tallying it up?
7.25 is our total, is our average. Not bad.
7.25.
Can we round that?
No, 7.25.
7.25. Look at that.
7.25 for a anime that's a prequel to a video game. That's not too freaking bad. A lot of times these things fail miserably. And it's not like they acquired it. Netflix made this, right? Like
Yeah, well,
doubled down. They probably sought out the houses, but this is them saying we want to make this. Nice, man. Nice. That's what we have here for Cyberpunk. If you do want to continue this experience, but you don't feel like playing the game, you can watch my man Rich play the game. You can do that. Go into our lives. He's playing Cyberpunk. He has already, as of this recording, he has 6 hours of gaming already
Ooh,
on
get it
there,
in.
clocking it in, getting it in. We have unboxings. We got Chris with toy reviews. We got Jack showing off his comic books. We have so much content right here on this YouTube channel. We also have a podcast. Go check that out. The link is in the description, as is our TikTok, as is our Instagram, which is a one-stop shop of geek culture, man. So check us out next time. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Make sure you subscribe, like, tell a friend. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking